just like that, we're back. Day 6 of Bowlmas. I know everybody's enjoyed the content so far. We have a interesting episode today. Bit of a sad episode. Brian was hoping to see Mr. Cam Ward in the playoff, as well as our guest today, a familiar face of the program. We'll jump into all the action in 1 second here. Let's just get a quick word from SeatGeek, and we'll talk about how Cam Ward is going to be a fraud in the NFL.
Come on.
Bang! Bang!
The weather may be getting cold late in the year, but the sports action is heating up. With the final stretch of the football season upon us and basketball season now here, the only place to go for the best tickets for each game is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast, and whether you're looking to sit courtside of the Sixers game, find a last-minute deal up in Section 400 for the Iron Bowl, or looking to just cheer on your alma mater in a preseason basketball tournament, SeatGeek's one-of-a-kind system helps you find the best deal for the best seats in the house. Use code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, your best night ever is waiting.
AY, good to have you back, man. I know you're a familiar face of the program, of the podcast here. It's great to have you back. Unfortunately, wish we could be talking about Miami on a little bit better circumstances, but they do get a bowl game, and we'll jump into it here shortly.
Yeah, AY, I am so sorry about Miami and Cam Ward and your Jets, and we'll get into it all. But I need to know, before you reintroduce yourself to the people, would you rather have a year like this with Miami, where the expectations were so high so early, and then they all come crashing down? Or would you rather have a year like you're having with your Jets, where the expectations were high, but they came crashing down early, and you've just been able to kind of write them off for a while now?
Yeah, no. Again, thank you guys for having me on the program. I really do appreciate it. It's a true blessing to see you guys again. But in regards to your question, Brian, I do have to say I would much rather be along for the ride that Miami took us on. It was an emotional roller coaster this whole year, but it was, we were 9-0 going into November, and that's about as good as it can get. Obviously really disappointing. But for lack of better words, the Jets are the Jets. I should have known. I shouldn't have even allowed them to tap into my psyche and get me excited for this season. I should have known better. It feels like I say the same thing every year, but I would have much rather had the Miami run that we've had and their catastrophic downfall from grace. I would much rather take that and soaked up the 9 weeks of glory that we had, for sure.
Well, as Cam Ward transitions to rookie year of the NFL and upcoming draft, I know he's got a bowl game, but as a Jets super fan, I went to some games with you the last couple of years. I personally don't want to see Cam Ward go to the Jets because I don't hate rooting for the Jets here and there. But Cam Ward, I am not confident on him being a solid starting quarterback. I honestly, and again, this might sound harsh, I think he might be a worse Cam Newton. And you can take that however you want. But your thoughts, obviously, Miami guy, Jets guy, you're going to want to see Cam Ward there. Jack already hates it, which is what I love.
I hate the Cam Newton comparison.
Why?
Why? Because I watched Cam Newton's last season at Auburn in college football, and I've watched Cam Ward this year, and to say that they're anything alike is so disrespectful to Sir Cameron Newton.
I said worse. I didn't say better.
He did say worse, but when you say that, Cam Newton won an MVP. He went to the Super Bowl.
He won a national championship too, and a Heisman.
He won the national championship and a Heisman. So are you putting him in the same conversation?
No, I'm saying he's going to be worse.
But
same conversation would be better.
Yeah, but you could say a worse Jamarcus Russell
or Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I don't know. I just needed a guy to throw him next to, and I figured Cam Newton would be good because you guys are all Auburn hardos. Didn't expect you guys to call me out on it like that, but I know that's what we like to do on the show. But the question was for AY. AY.
Well, you mentioned Auburn, and you put a bad rep on Auburn, so you knew you were going to get a response from one of us.
Hey, I can't have you comparing Cam Ward to Cam Newton. I just can't have you.
I think we're mad for different reasons. I like Cam Ward.
Well, I for the Jets in regards to Cam Ward, if he's there on the board when we get our pick, I would love for them to take him. I mean, the guy is Showtime. He can bring the team back. We've seen it time and time again where he had to dig them out of multiple score deficits, and he's truly a magician. What I will say in regards to your criticism, Matt, is I think that he does need to work a little bit more on his intermediate game. Making sure the easy throws and then the short game gets going, but. The guy's a magician. He's a great talent. He's got a very unique journey, somewhat like Cam Newton, I guess, in a way. He transferred from, a couple of smaller schools and worked his way up to being at a Power Four program like University of Miami. So he's got a great story. I would love for the Jets to have him. I mean, shit, add him to the list of quarterbacks that we've ruined. Maybe he can be the guy who resurrects us. I mean, should anything will be better than what we've seen the past couple years. So I would gladly take Cam Ward.
Oh, look at that. Kind of like Cam Newton. Yeah, so you know, yeah, I mean, I guess
Unbelievable.
we talked a bit pre-show here, pre-pod. Um, Aaron Rodgers, right? 42 years old, falling apart. The injuries are getting to him. Uh, where where does this thing kind of play out, right? So if they get Cam Ward, he's going to sit behind. We just talked about how my comparison was horrible. Is Cam Ward a guy who can like? Isn't Cam Ward and Rodgers two completely different games? Would is that the guy you want to learn behind? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. You can always learn good experience from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, but if you want to talk about two completely different games, Cam Ward and Aaron Rodgers are completely different. Brian looks like he's ready to jump down my throat, so we'll jump to him.
Yeah, no, I don't think they are. Cam Ward is a very good downhill passer, not downhill, deep ball passer. And he's like AY said, he's a magician. He does a lot of things Aaron Rodgers used to do. I guess he doesn't really do it anymore. But he can throw the ball downfield. He can make plays with his legs, and he's looking to pass. It's not like he's like Anthony
Yeah,
Richardson
I
was in
guess
college.
I guess where I mean that is the accuracy. Like Rodgers was always a pretty accurate quarterback. Cam
Yeah.
Ward can get the ball down the field, sure. But I mean, AY touched on it best. The short routes, the crossing routes, it needs to be cleaned up. And I don't know that I can get there with him cleaned up. And again, this is what happens. Guys have opinions on guys, on players, and then they go out and it gives them some juice and they go out and shock the world. So sure, could he fix everything? Could Rodgers be a guy he learns from? Maybe, but I don't know. If I'm already down on Cam Ward, I don't think the Jets are a good landing spot for him to go, and that's just my opinion.
He's
Yeah, I
gonna
mean, whenever you have a Hall of Fame quarterback and you got the chance to sit back and learn from him, I think that, it would be a great opportunity for him. I mean, you know, let's be real here. Aaron Rodgers, we might be throwing him a little shade right now, but he is arguably the most gifted ball spinner we've ever seen in the history of this league, or at least from our generation. He has been absolutely terrific. And he's a book of knowledge. He really has 20 plus years in over experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been through the ups and downs. I mean, I don't see how, anybody, even if it's not Cam Ward, couldn't benefit from learning from him and really just getting his insight. I mean, look at it, the quarterback tree, I guess, in Green Bay, Rodgers sat behind Favre. Now Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers. If you're lucky enough to be in a situation where you can have a young quarterback sit back and take his time and learn and not throw him into the fire like what we've done for the past 20 years, I think that it could be mutually beneficial. And, I think that that's the best case scenario for the Jets. Obviously, I alluded to it before the show. I don't think that Cam Ward is going to be available for the Jets to pick unless they give up a major haul. But yeah, I would love that. I would love that for the team.
Which of
I
those shock moves, that's what the Jets do is make a big splash and go up and get another guy.
Yeah.
and I'm glad that you said that at the end there because I'm not expecting them to go and make a move like this either. They did draft Jordan Travis. Do you have any word on? I'm not tuned into Jets injury camp like that. How has he been recovering since his injury? Is he worth the salt? Will we ever see him in a Jets jersey out there?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously he was a guy last year who got a lot of Heisman looks or consideration before his injury. really talented cat. I mean, you know, from what I've heard is that he's not going to be active at any point through the season because of his leg injury. So he hasn't been taking reps or getting any snaps in. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, they go out and they add a guy in free agency and they let Jordan Travis compete for the starting job. I think that that's kind of what we're looking at. I can see a Justin Fields in our future. I the show wasn't active back in the day, but I was a big advocate for the Jets taking Justin Fields over Zach Wilson. But you know, that doesn't matter now, obviously. But I think that that's a guy who we can look at, and I think that if Jordan Travis has got something special, I think he's going to have all offseason to prove it. And you know, obviously, I don't have much faith in the Jets organization to make the right call here. So I'm just hoping that we can find a diamond in the rough, a needle in the haystack, and maybe Jordan Travis could be the answer. I mean, it's pretty
Yeah.
depressing that I'm saying that, but you know, I mean, it's all we really got at this point, guys.
Yeah,
I have more faith in Florida State's Jordan Travis over Cam Ward.
Jack just wanted some reassurance on his Florida State got snubbed from the college football playoff last year. That's where the Jordan Travis came from. But we talk about Cam Ward going to the Jets. I wear my Giants hat today for a specific reason. He's not going to be learning from Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be learning from Drew Lock.
Oh
And he's
God.
going to be starting games for the New York Giants in 2025.
Jesus. Drew Lock
What on
looks like
earth
he doesn't
would
know how to
he?
play football the other day. I mean, he was running the wrong way. There was a
We
first down marker. He ran he didn't run vertical, he ran north and south.
Yeah,
It
and
was
here's the
horrible.
time machine that we take everyone on during these recordings. But we're obviously recording this way before the game. We recorded our recap of that Giants game today. I think Drew Lock knows they want Cam Ward, so he purposely made that 90-degree angle, and he's trying to help the cause.
Yeah, must be. Something's up. Something's up.
After they did Drew Lock dirty and started DeVito, I don't think he's doing anything in the interest of helping the Giants organization.
And they made the right call eventually.
Well, Brian, who would you rather have, Drew Lock, or would you rather have Mike Glennon? I mean, we've seen some pretty atrocious Giants backups over the years. I don't know. I think Drew Lock might. I don't think he's the worst that we've seen.
No, he's definitely not. And they still have Tim Boyle waiting in the wings for when Drew Lock
Oh,
gets hurt too.
oh
So
God, Tim Boyle. How is that guy even in the league?
he started the game on Amazon Prime on Black Friday last year.
For the Jets. I
For the
know.
Jets, yeah.
I know. I know.
Wild. Um,
Oh man,
Jack,
but
you want to jump us back on track here, dude, or what?
You guys want to get back on track? You guys want to talk about
Yeah.
some
I mean, we
Miami
could go down
football?
a rabbit hole on the Jets, but this
Talk
is the
about the
Miami
Miami
show.
football.
This is
More
the
like
Miami
the
show.
Bermuda Triangle of the Jets.
That's true. So unfortunately, AY, it's not the playoff. I know you had high expectations, high hopes, especially beginning of the year. They beat Florida in the swamp, and oh my gosh, the Miami football's back. It's early 2000s all over again, but kind of fall apart at the end of the year, and they draw a matchup in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Pretty funny. Against Iowa State, who just got their clocks cleaned by Arizona State. Yeah, I mean, Iowa State, Miami, both teams, 10 wins. Not a New Year's Six game, which I think are reserved for the playoffs now. But yeah, I mean, this will be, I guess, okay. Miami started 9-0, and like I said, just didn't close out at the end when they had everything going for them. And I don't know if this is because the committee doesn't value the ACC, like Brian and I talked about preseason, and it's Big Ten versus SEC.
All right, well, Matt, I really expected you to call Cam Ward a Pop Tart when you emphasized the Pop Tarts Bowl there, but I'm happy you laid off. We had enough Cam Ward nonsense here.
Yeah, we started out the show already pretty hot. Let's get through it.
But yeah, AY, I mean, we've already kind of talked about how this has to hurt. It's not when I texted you to come on Bowlmas, I thought for sure we'd be talking about a college football playoff game. It's still a nice game, but are you looking forward to watching it?
No, I'm really not. It's a slap in the face to throw us in a bowl game named the Pop Tart Bowl. I mean that's all I really needed to hear. I didn't even really need to know who we were playing. I just knew that it was a Mickey Mouse Bowl. To be honest with you, I'm pretty shocked that Cam Ward is even going to be playing in this game and he's not going to be sitting out, which I do give him a lot of credit for. You know, a lot of people have been opting out in recent years, and It's great that he's actually going out and seeing the season through. But yeah, I'm really not looking forward to it. I think that we should really blow this team out. I think that, we have arguably the best offense in college football, followed up by, arguably the worst defense in college football and the worst special teams group. I mean, a lot of people are talking about how bad this defense has been, especially on the back end, but our special teams has been just as bad. We only seen like one or two kick returns this year, and it seemed like in the big games we couldn't stop a big special teams play from coming. But I'm really not looking forward to it. I mean, this was a team that got boat raced the other day in their conference championship. I'd be surprised if they have the offensive weapons to hang with us, but you can never really underestimate how bad this Miami defense is. So I would definitely be looking into the over on this game. But I'm really not looking forward to it. It's really a somber day, because of how the season went, and like you said, Brian, how we were all pretty much expecting Miami to be in the college football playoffs this year. So it's really disappointing. I'm not super enthusiastic about it, but all in all, it was a good year. But yeah, just a disappointing end to such a hopeful season.
Yeah, it's definitely disappointing, and I am sad for you because I was really hoping for this to be like the last episode we had. Miami had the bye, and we were all talking about how they were going to play an SEC team in that New Year's Six game. But yeah, here we are, and we'll get into Iowa State's weapons, but you may be underestimating the Cyclones' weapons a little bit. With the Pop-Tarts Bowl, I think I'm going to eat a Pop-Tart on stream for every touchdown that's scored in this game.
Oh,
And you
God.
mentioned the over. It's a little foreshadowing for my prediction, but this one might be like a 55-50 shootout. I'm really looking forward to this game, and I know the implications aren't that huge, but I think it was going to be a fun game.
How many Pop Tarts are you going to eat? Is question one. And question two is what flavor are you going to be eating?
Well, I almost said for every point, and that would have probably given me diabetes and a heart attack. So I'll do every touchdown. But if there's as many touchdowns as I'm expecting, we might be
You
upwards
might
of
not
like
be too far off for those diabetes if you're doing every
Brian,
touchdown.
you might have to have a plumber on speed dial if you eat that many Pop Tarts. I mean, oh boy, I'd hate to be your toilet bowl after.
And
I'd hate to be your toilet bowl after the Pop Tart bowl. Let's just put it that way.
when I say a Pop Tart, I mean one Pop Tart. I don't mean the pack of two Pop Tarts counts as one Pop Tart. But yeah, no. To answer your second question, Jack, I'll probably do a variety, but strawberry's the best Pop Tart. What are you shaking?
I haven't had a Pop Tart in years.
Yeah, I
I
can't
heard that
remember.
RFK is
I'm
going to be
not
banning
having
Pop Tarts.
a Pop Tart
That's
argument
true.
with you right now, but strawberry is simply not the best flavor.
Yeah, I haven't had them in a while, but I agree with that. I don't know that strawberry would be the one that I quickly run to as and tout as my number one Pop Tart.
Well, yeah, it's strawberry, and then I forget if it's the chocolate or the cinnamon one, but whatever the brown glaze is, I think it's cinnamon. But yeah, I haven't had a Pop Tart in years either. But
Now,
yeah,
Brian, my question for you is, when you did have Pop Tarts, would you heat those things up in the oven, or would you just eat them cold?
well,
That's
most of the time it
that's
was
a
like the school lunch, so I had to eat them cold.
okay. I don't think
You
I've ever
gotta
had one heated up, to be honest with you guys.
you
I just
gotta get it in
uh,
the toaster oven, dude.
yeah.
Life changing. Life changing. I haven't done it in a while, but oh my Lord. Change your life.
Yeah, Brian, fire that oven up, man.
Well,
Get it
maybe
ready.
I am an actual functioning member of society now, mainly because of my wife Rose. But we do have a toaster oven, so when I do this, we can heat up some Pop Tarts.
You can have some warm Pop Tarts for the top Pop Tart Bowl. But speaking of the bowl, we'll jump into some player previews and a quick disclaimer. Kind of playing transfer portal musical chairs here. We don't know who officially will be playing. We're recording a little bit early here, and how ridiculous would it be if Cam Ward sits out? I don't think he will, but that would be nuts if he magically just says it out. I don't know who's already committed to playing and who's not, but yeah, that would really, really be more of a slap in the face, I think, to the Miami fan base. But speaking of Cam Ward, he is the guy on paper to start this game. As much as I shit on him, the stats do look nice. Over 4,000 passing yards, 36 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. He did run in for an extra 4 touchdowns, giving him 40 total touchdowns. I think that's how Brian had that listed, or did he have 36 total?
Nope, that's correct.
40 total. So yeah, big year for him again in the ACC. I'll leave that at that. Some running backs for him as well. No 1,000-yard rusher, which is interesting. But Damian Martinez did lead as the junior running back, 823 and 9 touchdowns for an average of 5.7 yards per carry. They had a nice little 1-2 punch there at Mark Fletcher Jr., a sophomore, just under 550 yards at 545 and 8 touchdowns. So some extra scoring there from the running back duo at about 5.4 yards per carry. So just on the screen there, we'll get into the wide receivers in a second here. AY, for you, I mean, where do you see Miami going in this game if Cam Ward plays? Does he lean on the running backs? Is he going to be playing not scared but hesitant to be try to avoid a major injury? Does he lean on maybe one of these two running backs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that that's in Mario Cristobal's game plan for this week. I mean, I'm hoping he's learned from our past mistakes, especially the Syracuse game, being up 21-0, and Damian Martinez, he's a beast, he's a monster, he's a bruiser, he's a guy who you got to give 25 to 30 carries a game because he just wears defenses down. Like you said, Mark Fletcher's that same kind of archetype of a running back. He's a power back. I think that Miami's got to really establish themselves on the ground early in this game. Get a good running game going. So those deep vertical passes that Cam Ward loves to have will open up when the defense is forced to come up and stop the run. At least that's how I would play it. I'm hoping that, our offense really tries to make a statement of establishing the run, especially against a team like Iowa State, who's known for their grit and their toughness. I think we really got to if we want to go toe to toe with them, we really have to establish a physicality up front and really pound those holes with Damian Martinez Pauls, and really push ourselves to strive for greatness to win this game.
Well, we saw it this past weekend with the Iowa State guy. I forget the Arizona State running back. They kind of ran all over Iowa State. So maybe, something to look out for there, as if Cam Ward doesn't want to play scared, just lean on that running game. It's something he can do because Iowa State definitely looked vulnerable on the ground.
Definitely.
I think Scatabo is his name.
Yeah.
Gadabo or something like
Gadabo.
that. Yep.
If Ashton Jeanty didn't exist, he might be the best running back in college football.
Yeah, and he called himself the best running back. Not to go on a sidetrack here, but look, I admire the confidence, but it's just simply not true. Ashton Jeanty is the best running back in college, and that's all it is. Look, and that's not taken away from what he is and the type of player he is. That's just how special of a player Ashton Jeanty is. And that's all I'll say on that.
We're going to be talking about Ashton Jeanty for decades about how he's the best player to never win a Heisman because Travis Hunter's just going to.
You guys really don't think he's going to win? I think
he's got a shot.
I think he's definitely. You got to consider him when he's putting up numbers like Eric Dickerson and all those guys. I mean, I think I know it's a quarterback award, or per se, usually a quarterback award, but I think that in terms of his overall impact on his team and how far that they got a first round bye as being Boise State. I mean, if you guys would have told me that 6 to 8 months ago, we would have all thought you're crazy. I mean, and for a running back to be doing that, and it's not like, hey, he was doing this against the Midwestern Conference. It wasn't very good. They went against Oregon and went toe to toe with Oregon, and he had almost 200 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. You against the best team in the nation, hands down right now. I think you really got to give him his flowers. And, I know Travis Hunter plays both ways and everything like that, but I don't know. I think that I think that Boise State wouldn't be anywhere near where they are without Ashton Jeanty. I totally agree.
No, and I think if this podcast had a vote for the Heisman, we would place that for Jeanty. But yeah. I don't know if I guess it's still considered a committee, or the voters are gonna be swayed. Travis Hunter's just, I don't know.
Well, in the time period of players doing it both or going both ways, obviously Ohtani, the big one, and then now we're seeing Travis Hunter on the football field.
Future Jaguar, Travis Hunter.
Well, sure. It seems to be the way that the committee is going to highlight this really emergence of, guys did this back in the day. And then we had this long period of guys not going both ways or playing both sides of the field. And now we're starting to see it again, slowly, but surely it's emerging. So it's cool to see, and they're kind of highlighting that in any way possible. What other way to do it than give him the Heisman? So that's where I think, Genty, you want to talk about snubs? That's where Genty gets snubbed.
Well, also, could I tap in here real quick? I think that
Absolutely.
you also got to take into consideration that Ashton Genty isn't playing the second half of most of these games because they're up by so many points. If you
Very
watch a
true.
Colorado football game, they're obviously stat padding. They're throwing those deep balls. Like if you look at their last game against the season against Oklahoma State, they're up 52-0, and they're still throwing deep balls to Travis Hunter. I mean, you got to admit that they're trying to get him that award. Ashton Genty is just doing what he's got to do, and he's not even playing the second half, and he's
Doing
still
what he's got
putting
to
up
do.
numbers.
I agree. Agreed. But speaking of padding the stats and throwing it up to receivers, we'll jump into some of these Miami guys here. And Xavier Restrepo, I mean, a senior who I guess I don't know what the expectations were on him coming into the year, but he sure as hell put everybody on notice. Is that a byproduct of Cam Ward? I'm sure Brian thinks so. But he had a great year, over 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 69 catches. I mean, he was their number one guy, and Cam Ward's the number one guy. And then they also had, obviously, Jacoby George as that kind of second man up who jumped in there and, 730 yards, 28 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 51 grabs. A nice kind of number two guy, but Xavier Restrepo, I think, really, really, really just had an unbelievable year to make this offense the number one team in the or number one offense in the country at 44.2 points per game.
Yeah, you want to know what these stat lines really remind me of?
What's that?
There was a team with a really bad defense last year and a really good quarterback and a duo of really good receivers. And that team missed the college football playoff. And that quarterback ended up winning the Heisman. Not that quarterback went up to. Did he win the Heisman?
Yes, he won the fucking Heisman, Brian.
Jaden
There
Daniels.
was Brian trying to throw LSU in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Restrepo a little bit like Malik Neighbors, Jacoby George a little bit like Brian Thomas Jr., and Cam Ward a little bit like Mr. Jaden Daniels.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if Xavier Restrepo is, Malik Neighbors
jump on
by
Brian
any
for
means.
that.
Yeah, I don't think
comparison.
I'm
Jump
just
on
saying
Brian
the
for that
stats. I'm just
bullshit.
saying the stat line looks eerily
What I will,
similar.
what I will say
Get
though,
on him for that.
Xavier Restrepo is going to go down as a maybe a top five receiver in all of Miami college football history. What he's done over the years, he came in as like a lower recruit. He wasn't a highly recruited guy coming out of wherever he came from. I don't really know. I'm assuming Florida, but he didn't. He really came in and he really established himself. People didn't give him a lot of credit last year because they're like, oh, he's the roommate of Tyler Van Dyke. That's why he's getting all these balls. He's come out this year and really established himself as a great receiver and truly, in my mind, a top 10 Miami receiver of all time. He's got the legacy and he's really come up from nothing and really made a name for himself. So I think, especially at Miami, where we were known to have such great receivers like Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Michael Irvin, we've had a vast history of great receivers. I think that Xavier Restrepo has done all that he needs to do to establish his name up there as one of the greats for Miami history.
Coconut Creek, Florida.
Is that where he's from?
Yep, Coconut Creek.
I was just going to say, I know I said, maybe not a great comparison on the quarterbacks in the beginning of the show, but maybe Brian will like this one, Xavier Restrepo being a better Braxton Berrios, who I think went to Miami as well.
He did. I had a class with him.
There you go. So
Yeah.
I think their player model or player types are a little bit more the same. And I think Restrepo by far, and again, I don't know if this is a byproduct of Cam Ward or not, produced much greater stats than Berrios did.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I can't say I'm too familiar with Braxton Berrios' college career, but no, that's a good comp. Same kind of
No,
body
I think,
type.
yeah, same kind of build and slot guy. I think Berrios, he more got drafted and got a shot in the league because of the good hands, and he was more of that special teams punt returner, kick returner-esque guy. I don't know that he was kind of brought onto a team because of his ball catching ability. Pause.
Yeah, we've had a lot of those. We had a lot of going both ways too.
Yeah. Look, we're all over the place here. We don't judge. We just try to analyze and dice up this game here because I mentioned it 44.2 points per game. Whether you're playing in the ACC, the Big 12, the SEC, like points are points. It's a big number. It's a huge number. Brian, do you know who was number two, or did Miami just absolutely run away with this title of being the number one in college football this year?
I don't know off the top of my head, but they were, I believe number two was under 40 points per game.
Wow. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if they absolutely took the award by a full touchdown better than number two.
Yeah, I'm looking it up real quick here, but like it was what Cam Ward in that offense has done is just the fact they're not in the college football playoff is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they lost to Philadelphia suburb native Kyle McCord.
Yeah, I mean, I think also another thing that you should consider, like, I get it. They lost 3 games. I get that that's, a death blow to anybody's college football playoff chances. But if you just
Especially the
look,
ACC.
yeah, but if you just look at the eye test, though, you can't tell me that SMU is better than Miami or Indiana is better than Miami. I think that Miami would smoke both of those teams. I think that just eye test, looking at the games, I think that Miami clearly had a better team. Say what you want about their defense. I think that the best 12 teams should make it, and I think that Miami showed enough, especially on the offensive end, where they could be considered a top 12 team.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought up Indiana here because there were two teams that scored at least 40 points per game in college football this season. Miami, and at number two, the Indiana Hoosiers with 43.3 points per game.
Yeah, but with Indiana, you look at their schedule, and we touched on this. It was horrible.
Miami didn't really play many good teams either.
Yeah.
That's true. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, they should have lost that. What was that, week 3 or week 4 against
Oh,
Virginia
yeah, the
Tech?
Hail Mary.
Yeah, against Virginia Tech. So that should have been a loss all day long, and we shouldn't even be sitting here, talking about them getting in, getting out. But yeah, I think Miami is probably better than Indiana, just to keep it simple.
The three teams under Miami are all in the college football playoff. It was Indiana, Notre Dame, and Boise State.
See, now Boise State and Notre Dame, I would lean them over Miami.
SMU was also 6. So it's hard to score that many points and not make the college football playoff.
Yeah, well, I mean, we also talk about schedule and whatnot. Like if you look at the bracket where it's Penn State, Boise State, and who is Penn State? SMU. They've beaten one ranked opponent between those 3 teams. You know what I mean? Like think about that. Like I know it's a crazy stat, but it's like if you're using that kind of methodology to make your picks, I don't see how you leave a team like Miami out.
Well, it's the one greatest mystery, I think, of the most since 2012 or 2014, whenever the playoff came out, is nobody knows what the hell the committee's thinking. They come out and say how they're going to make picks or how they're going to, teams won't be judged on this or they will be judged on that. We have no idea where they're going to go. And, there usually is some type of monetary reasoning that they end up making some of these calls. I was surprised they left Alabama out. Just based on the views, the viewership, the attendance, everything that more money they would have got if Alabama was in it.
Yeah, well, that was the one thing they kind of stayed true to. They said they weren't going to dock a team for losing in their conference championship. And maybe if SMU didn't make that comeback and almost beat Clemson, they would have, but they lost by 3. So if you say that, you can't then take SMU out for Alabama.
I also think it might play into last year where they snuck an Alabama team in there when there was an undefeated team that they left out. And I feel like if they tried to do that again this year, there was going to be uproar.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, these, like I mentioned this already, but it happened with 4 teams. It's going to be the top 4, top 3, top 2 that are there at the end, unless we see a Cinderella run that we haven't seen in the college football playoff. That's what it's always going to come down to is the top teams always make it. Maybe it's different, but
Yeah.
man,
I was discussing this earlier, but last year when it was that 14 playoff, I felt like there were five, six, seven teams that had a shot, like a legitimate shot. And then this year it's a 12 team, and I feel like there's 15 or 16 teams that have a real legitimate shot. So
Yeah.
if we were to expand it out to 20, 25, 24, well, whatever round number you want to make it, there's going to be like, I don't know, is there going to be 30 teams that have a legitimate shot? I mean, because Oregon being undefeated as they are, they're not necessarily running away with it by all means, in my mind. I know Matt's convinced. I'm not. I still think that there are plenty of teams in the top 16 that could beat Oregon on any given Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm the guy who's convinced. Even though I did have them winning it all, but
you switched up on the
I'm
ground table.
I'm
Did
big
you
on
really?
Boise. I'm big on Boise State, dude.
Okay, all right.
I'm
I
big on
take it
Boise
back.
State.
I
Yeah,
take it back.
but I do think if Boise doesn't win it, it's going to be Oregon. They do look like the far and away better team. You're right. Maybe they're not blowing each individual team out, which I stand true to. Boise State lost by 3. I believe it was on the road, 37-34 to Oregon. And Boise State at one point, not that this means anything, but they had on the ESPN app a 72% chance to win that game at one point. Not that it means anything, but they were that close to shocking the world and setting this season undefeated. I mean, that was their only loss in the schedule.
Yeah, and I hope we get a rematch. That'd be
Yeah.
a fun game too.
That would be awesome.
That would be nuts. But obviously, not the Boise State Oregon show. We'll keep trying to move along here in the Pop Tarts Bowl. But yeah, I mean, do we want to touch on Miami's defense? I mean, we know it's been bad. 30.25 points per game allowed over the last 8 games. Yeah, Brian, your thoughts here as we digest and look into Miami's defense.
Yeah, no, that's really bad, and we've talked about how bad it is. So I don't know if we need to keep on kicking AY's team down, but yeah, it's bad. And listen, I'll touch on Iowa State real quick here, just because we have kind of been knocking them down this whole show too. They're a competent ball club, and Jack, you're not gonna like them because they are the opposite of an SEC school that you love to watch. They do not run the damn ball. Their running back looks and sounds like a weatherman, Mr. Carson Hansen. He's all right, not very good. But they do have a good quarterback in Rocco Becht. They do have 2 1,000-yard receivers in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who I think are going to catch passes all over this Miami secondary. And that is one of the reasons why I'm betting this over, and I'm eating a Pop-Tart for every touchdown we get.
Yeah, 53.5 just seems way too low.
It does seem low, and maybe that's, again, we're recording this super early, so maybe that's just the books thinking we're going to see some opt-outs and trying to get an edge there. But right now, I can't imagine too many players opt out of the great Pop-Tarts Bowl.
It's an honor and a privilege.
Dude, they toast a Pop-Tart after the game. Like, are you kidding me?
Isn't there like a Pop-Tart mascot running around too, doing a bunch of crazy stuff though?
Yeah, no, last season they toasted him.
Oh my God.
Who played in the Pop-Tarts Bowl last year?
That I am not sure of.
I mean, this is just like a sad game to get into because both these teams 3-4 weeks ago had these like playoff aspirations of like making a run. I mean, dude, when Miami was 9-0, people legitimately were taking future bets on them to win it all. Cam Ward was the saving grace. Like I said, Miami football is back. And now we sit here almost mid-December. Both teams have multiple losses. Both teams just missed out on the playoffs. And it's just a depressing game for any fan base to have to watch, knowing what this season could have been.
Yeah.
That's why they have the Pop-Tarts mascot.
Yep.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so, dude. I guess so. But before we, I guess, jump into some predictions here, yeah, AY, what are you kind of looking at on Iowa State? The quarterback, the running back, the two receivers. Where's Miami going to have success at limiting this Iowa State offense, which can be good? We just didn't see it in their conference championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key is just not letting up a bunch of big plays, a lot of quick strike plays to let them get momentum and get back into the game. I think that if I were them, I would just play back in coverage and say, if you guys want to beat us on the ground with Mr. Carson Hansen, the weatherman. I would much rather die that way than getting destroyed by these 2,000-yard receivers. I think that we just got to play everything in front and don't let anybody get behind. And just try and keep the big explosive plays that can shift the momentum of the game to a very minimum. I think that should be the key. I don't really have much expectations at all for this Miami secondary, so just try and keep it close.
Yeah, that's man, I'm so sorry it's not going well. And I guess we should all make a pick.
We
And
probably should before we wrap it up here. Um, I mean, I think everybody is trending towards taking the over. I don't want to, make picks for anybody else, but AY as the honorary guest here, obviously guests go first. Where are you leaning for your former alma mater's big game in the Pop-Tart Bowl?
I'm leaning towards Miami in a shootout. If you guys remember correctly, last year I did not pick Miami to win in their bowl game, but I'm going to pick them this year. I think they're going to win 63-55 in a
Wow.
shootout
that's a
in the
lot of
Pop-Tart
Pop-Tarts.
Bowl.
That's a
That
lot
is
of
a lot of
Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts, Brian. You better get your stomach ready.
Oh my God, that is a lot of Pop Tarts.
And after a year of Brian hitting the gym like crazy, are you going to throw all this progress away, dude, if it's a shootout like that?
That's like it's like a week's worth of calories in a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
you
more
might need to
Pop-Tarts
have
than most people consume in their entire life.
might need
Yeah.
medical attention after this game.
Yeah, you should make sure that Rose is monitoring your heart
Yeah, I would
rate.
not do this
Make sure
alone.
You're not going into cardiac arrest or something like that. But I'm also going to take Miami. I'm going to take them by 2 scores. I think they win this pretty handedly. I'm not in on Iowa State at all, quite simply. And I think Miami is competent enough. If Cam Ward's playing, he's not sitting out, they're going to win this game by 10 points at least.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. When you have two 1,000-yard receivers going against this Miami defense, I love Cam Ward. I love that offense, but I think Iowa State's going to care a little bit more about this game than Miami. So I'll go with the Cyclones.
Yeah, Brian, I was going to be the villain of the board here and roll with the Cyclones as well, but you kind of set it up for me not to have all the hate, but yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Iowa State's going to care about this game a lot. They just got their ass handed to them. The first conference championship of the day was that Big 12 championship game. So everybody was locked in, everybody was watching, and they got shit pumped. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They got embarrassed on national television. I think they're going to want to come out and kind of prove a point, prove that they are better and worthy of being closer to the top of this college football ranking list than just being fraud. So I think they played in a tougher conference, and yeah, I think they'll care a little bit more. I get an extra point. I'll take +1 and roll with Iowa State just because. Yeah, I don't want to go with the public here.
Do we really think that the Big 12 was better than the ACC this year?
Yeah.
No way.
I don't know what football you've been watching.
Well, who are the top teams of the Big 12?
BYU. Oh wait, no,
Arizona State,
Yeah.
BYU,
Arizona
Iowa
State,
State,
BYU, Colorado.
Colorado.
Utah had a down year. Oklahoma State was the team that, when this year started, everybody thought that they were going to be the tops of the division.
I would agree. Maybe they're a little more.
Kansas State finished ranked.
Yeah.
I guess I would put them more even than was SMU in the Big 12?
ACC.
No, they're in the ACC.
Oh, they did go ACC. That's probably why they got in. Yeah, I guess maybe I'd put it more even, but I wouldn't hash on the Big 12 too crazy. I think Iowa State was legit for most of this year. Again, both teams here fell apart at the end.
Yeah, Iowa State they were a favorite to win this conference for forever.
They were like number 5 in the country at one point.
They they were good,
Yeah,
and
a lot of good Jets coming out of Iowa State. You got Brees Hall, Will McDonald,
Brock Purdy too,
and
Cyclone,
Brock
right?
Purdy as well. Yeah.
Not a Jet, but good player, I guess. Which I mean, look, the Niners. We don't have to talk about them this year. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, AY, obviously great having you on, man, and talking a bunch of Miami football here. I'm probably not going to bet on the game. I'll give the pick out of Iowa State +1 because I think they'll care a little bit more. But if I'm up betting, I'll root for you, man. I'll be thinking of you, and hopefully they can get the job done. But with bowl season kind of starting, and then obviously comes to an end within about 3-4 weeks. March Madness right around the corner, and Miami does have a basketball program, a basketball team. I haven't seen anything on Miami this year. I don't know that you have, but do you have a March Madness official prediction, a way too early prediction for what the Hurricanes might be able to do in March?
Yeah, I mean, right now I think our record's like 3-6 or something like that. So it doesn't look
Oof.
very, very bright or encouraging for Miami basketball. It seems like whenever Miami football has a good year, Miami basketball has a bad year, and vice versa. So, my March Madness prediction is going to be Coach Cal going to be taking Arkansas to the Elite Eight, I believe. I think that team is an underdog team, highly slept on, and I think that they're going to really make waves. I trust Coach Cal. Met him personally. He has a house a couple of houses up from my grandpa, so he's a hell of a guy, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of good things for that Arkansas basketball program.
So since you went away from making a Miami prediction here, are you kind of saying that they're not going to make
I don't
the
think we're going to make
tournament?
it. I don't think we're going to make it. I don't see any Isaiah Wongs or a couple of those other guys on the roster this year. So,
Lonnie Smith?
hey, I see the sign, Brian. I see Shane Larkin. I remember that 2013, 2014 Miami team. That was a really good team, but I don't see it in their future. You guys know me. I keep it a buck. I keep it 1,000 whenever I'm on the show. Real off the cuff, off the chest. So yeah, I don't see them making it this year, but obviously I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, we'll see if they can pick up a big quad one win. I believe tomorrow, on the day we're recording this, they travel to Knoxville to take on the number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers.
Wow. Well, we'll see.
See if they can end a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah, we all might be looking like fools when this whole show comes out. You never know.
I don't see it. Tennessee's good this year, aren't they?
The top ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, let's not get too crazy here. But yeah, anything else out of you guys before we kind of wrap it up? I know yeah, Bowlmas day 6. Can't believe we're back and chugging along. I think that puts us halfway through, no?
Yep.
But yeah, halfway through. AY, thanks for being our middle episode here. Good luck to Miami. Always love having you on, man. Hopefully we can maybe get you on for some Jets draft talk in April. But we do have a show coming out tomorrow. I think it's South Carolina missing the college football playoff. Jack might have some thoughts on that, but we'll save that. We'll save that for that. Jack's the king of teams getting snubbed, dude. It seems like.
Yeah,
Mark
everybody I
Sellers,
like
he's a
gets
dude.
snubbed, bro.
He's
It's
a dude.
ridiculous.
Mhm.
But yeah, AY, thanks again, man. It was a pleasure having you on, and don't be a stranger, dog. Take the trip down to Philly, man. I'm right here in Fishtown.
Of course, no doubt. As always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. And like you said, Matt, we'll stay in touch. All right, boys.
Take it easy.
All I want for Christmas is a transfer portal QB queue.